One of the problems and challenges of public budget that we have, let me share the material, is behavioral factors. The problems of public sector budgeting in one behavioral factors. Behavioral factor simply means the high level of corruption and indiscipline among the Nigeria. The public officer, the civil servant, the budget allocated to a ministry, department, government agency, some of the budget given to them, they will embezzle it. The money, they will embezzle the fund allocated to the budget. So they try, some of them try to play pranks with the contractors handling government projects. So they collide with them in order to ensure that all the money, all the fund allocated for the budget is embezzled. So behavioral factors is one of the key problems affecting public sector budget in Nigeria. Another one, high degree of environmental turbulence. High degree of environmental turbulence. High degree of environmental turbulence simply means the inflation rate, high level of inflation rate, the purchasing power every day. As we are sleeping, we are waking up, the purchasing power, the value for money is increasing, is decreasing day by day. So when the value for money is decreasing, definitely it's going to affect the budget, because the amount allocated for recurrent expenditure in the budget will be increased. Take, for instance, printing and stationery. We allocate 200 million for printing and stationery for 2026 budget. When we now reach 2026, by ending of April, we have already exhausted the 200 million. That means that budget is already exhausted already. So the question is, for the remaining year, are we not going to buy printing and stationery? So it will bring about supplementary budget. So it's one of the problems affecting public sector budget in Nigeria. Another problems affecting public sector budget in Nigeria is dearth of reliable data. Some of the data, indices, statistics that are used by government to prepare the budget. Take, for instance, crude oil price that government used, exchange rate that government used. Some of those exchange rates are not reliable. Where government get them, they did not get them from reliable source. Some of them are outdated data. Can you imagine when government is preparing 2025 budget, they are now projecting that the rate of exchange will be at 900 naira to a naira. Rate of dollar will be at 900 naira to a dollar. Is it realistic? It's not, because we are in 2025 now. This is the second month of 2025. The rate of exchange is still going to about 1,005. So I don't know the magic government will do to say that the rate of exchange will come down to 900 naira. I don't know. Even if the rate of exchange want to fall, even if dollar want to fall, it will not fall less than 100, more than 100 naira. It will not fall more than 100 naira. You understand? So that is the thing. So most of the data, and governments, they are even projecting that the crude oil price, the oil benchmark price, is going to increase, which in generally, if you look at the OPEC figure, the OPEC and the World Bank analysis, the price of crude oil is internationally is going down because of the reduction in demand, because of the decrease in demand for crude oil. Some of other countries now, they are moving from fuel car to electricity car, and you understand, some of them now, they are running on solar system because they believe that using of PMS is causing a lot of environmental hazard. So it's affecting the ozone layer, it's affecting the environment of the countries. So as a result of that, the demand for crude oil is reducing day by day. So that is dearth of reliable data. Another problems of public sector budget in Nigeria is inconsistent government policy. The policy that government used is not consistent. If government presently, maybe this present government, they planned for 10 years that in the next 10 years, we want to have an economic reform. We want to ensure that Nigeria power supply is stable. We want to ensure that our rate of exchange is stable. We want to ensure that we have adequate securities. So they have set up some plans, some policy that will ensure that all these goals, all these objectives is realized. So after 4 years, another government take over. If another government take over, that policy, that 10 years plan that the predecessor plan, the new government will not follow that. It will come up with its own new policy. It will come up with its own new policy. It will not follow the policy used by the previous government. It will come up with its own plan, new policy. We will now start again at the scratch. So governments, they normally have inconsistent policy. One of the reasons is they don't try to follow the policy of their predecessor. You understand? When there is change in government power, the new government that take over will come up with its own policy. The typical example of that is, look at the current government. When they take over, all the policy of the previous government, they just leave it one place. They started with their own new policy. That is one of the reasons why we are facing a lot of challenges now. So another problems of public sector budget in Nigeria is fiscal indiscipline. Fiscal what? Indiscipline. The attitude of government. Fiscal indiscipline simply means government official, they don't know how to manage. Fiscal indiscipline simply means reckless spending. How does this work? When you allocate budget to a ministry or a government agency, you allocate budget of 500 million to them. They would like to spend the money finish. They will not want to say, we have a surplus budget. Surplus budget simply means what we spend is less than what we collect. What is allocated to us, we don't spend up to that. No government ministry, agency will do that. They will spend all the budget allocated to them to the last kobo. Reckless spending. This is common. When you see that the year is getting to an end, by September now, you will see government agency, government ministry, they will be organizing training and workshop, symposium that is not relevant, that is not important, all in the name of saying that they want to exhaust their budget. They don't want their budget to remain. Because the reason why they want to exhaust their budget is they believe that if they don't spend the money finish, take for instance, a ministry was given an expenditure budget. That this ministry of power, the money that will give you in 2024 as part of your expenditure is 500 billion. If that ministry said, they want to manage, don't let us spend up to 500 billion. Let us spend like 400 billion or 300 billion. If they now say, we have a surplus of 200 billion, in the next budget, they will not give them 500 billion. They will say, since you don't need up to that, we are going to give you 300 billion. Since you are not spending, that is the belief. So that is the reason why most of the government agencies would like to spend all the money accrued to them, all the budget given to their ministry. They will spend it to the zero kobo. Financial indiscipline. They will just be spending recklessly. Recklessly. The training and workshop, they will collide with the consultants engaged for the training. If the training and workshop worth maybe 50 million naira, they will say, consultant, write 500 million so that they spend the money finish at the end of the day. So it's one of the problems affecting public sector budgets. Another one, delay in fund release. After president have signed the budget into law, after the budget has become appropriation act, one of the challenges that we face is the Ministry of Finance, Accountant General Office don't release funds on time to the ministries and extra ministerial department. They don't release funds for them. Accountant General don't release funds on time. They will delay the release of funds. So sometimes, if there is delay in release of funds, most of the plan that the ministry have that they want to utilize the budget for, they may not achieve it. Take, for instance, budget has been signed since ending of December last year. The new year budget has been signed ending of December last year. When we get to the new year, they're supposed to have disbursed money, released funds to all the ministries so that they started the implementation of the budget. But they may delay the release of funds like third of the following year by March. You understand? If they now release the fund by March, most of what government plan that they want to use the fund for, they may not use it for it. They may not, it may not be used for such purpose again. So delay in release of funds is one of the factors also affecting public sector budget. Another factors affecting public sector budget, external factors. External factor means all the factor that is affecting the world generally, the factor that is affecting the economy globally. One of the external factors is crisis, war crisis. The war between Ukraine and Russia can affect Nigeria. Civil unrest in the neighboring country, civil unrest in Niger, civil unrest in Lake Chad, in Cameroon may affect Nigeria because the people in Cameroon will try to relocate. They will try to migrate to Nigeria. The citizens of Niger, if they have civil unrest in their area, they will migrate to Nigeria. And when they migrate to Nigeria, the number of inflow to Nigeria will increase. Nigeria will like to ensure that the security of life and property of their citizens improve. So they will add number of more securities. They will be vigilant. They will like to gather intelligence information. So they will spend more. All these external factors affect budget. Oil glut too is an external factor. It affects budget. So another problems that affect budget is problems of inflation. Problems of what? Inflation. Inflation, increase in prices of goods and services. When you go to market now, you buy something. If you go in the next 2 months, it's not the same price you buy it. If government have budget that if they want to buy one ream of A4 paper, they will buy it at the rate of 3,000 naira. When we now reach that year of the budget, a ream of paper is now going for about 7,000 naira. That is inflation. That will affect the budget generally. That is the problem that will affect the budget. So we have talked about those problems affecting public sector budget. Please, let's try to note the problem. Let's know at least 7 problems affecting public sector budget. Let's know at least 7 problems affecting public sector budget. So one of them is problem of inflation, external factor, delay in release of funds, inconsistent government policy, physical indiscipline, high degree of environmental turbulence, and another one is we have another one called behavioral factors. Dearth of reliable data is another factor. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to classification of budget in public sector. Classification of budget in public sector. Let's try to classify budget in public sector. What are the classification of budget? What can we classify budget in public sector? Number one classification of budget that we have in public sector. Classification according to functional activities. We classify budget according to functional activity. Functional activity means according to section or department in an organization. According to department in an organization. So functional activities. Under functional activity, we have different type of budget. We have revenue budget. We have overhead budget. We have personnel cost budget, and we have cash budget. Under the functional activities, we have revenue budget, we have overhead budget, we have personnel cost budget, and we have cash budget. Revenue budget, overhead budget, personnel cost budget, and what? Cash budget. What is revenue budget? Revenue budget means the compilation or the budget that aggregates all various income or revenue accrued to a ministry or department or agency of government. The budget that aggregates all various income accrued to a particular ministry or a particular government agency or a state government or a local government. The aggregation of all various revenue, projected revenue accrued to them is revenue budget. In our revenue budget, we can define our revenue budget, we can divide it into 2. We may have capital revenue and recurrent revenue. Our revenue budget can be divided into 2. We may have capital revenue and what? Recurrent revenue. What are the sources of government revenue? My colleague have discussed about sources of government revenue. If you want to look at sources of government revenue, you have to divide the sources of government revenue into 2. Oil source, revenue from oil, and revenue from what? Non-oil. Who can give me sources of revenue coming from oil? Oil sector. What are the sources of revenue coming from oil? My colleague have discussed sources of revenue to our. He has started sources of revenue now. He has discussed that. So, what are those examples of revenue derived from oil?
Petroleum tax.
Petroleum tax. Okay. Sales of crude oil.
Royalties.
Royalty. Oil mining license. Oil prospecting license, penalty for gas flaring. What are the non-oil source revenue? What are the non-oil source revenue?
Company income tax.
Company income tax, okay.
Duties.
Hmm?
Import duties.
Okay. Custom duties.
Payees.
We have fines.
Rent of government property. Mining fees. And so on like that. All this revenue will be stated under our revenue budget. So what are the purpose of revenue budget? Purpose of revenue budget. Number one purpose of revenue budget, to determine the level of aggregated income received by government. To determine the level of aggregated income receivable by the government. Another purpose of revenue budget, to determine the level of expenditure acceptable to the government. Another one, to determine the area of weakness in terms of revenue generation. To determine the area of weakness in terms of revenue generation. We have another one, to identify major sources of income to the government. To identify major sources of income to the government. We have another one called to plan the cash flow of the government. To plan the cash flow of the government. Another objective of revenue budget is to serve as a basis of controlling income and expenditure of the government. To serve as a basis for the controlling of income and expenditure of the government. So all these are the purpose of revenue budget. All these are the purpose of what? Revenue budget. Another type of budget that we have under functional budget, overhead budget. Overhead budget means those budget that is prepared for our overhead expenses, printing and stationery, repairs and maintenance, telephone and postage, transport and traveling, internet subscription. All those, our overhead, aside from salaries and wages, all the budget prepared for our overhead expenses, for our running expenses, for our recurrent expenditure is called overhead budget. While preparing overhead budget, we need to adjust for inflation rates. While preparing overhead budget, we need to adjust for inflation rates. That means we need to incorporate inflation rates while preparing our overhead budgets. Another type of budget we have under functional budget is called personnel cost budget. Personnel cost budget. Personnel cost budget is the crux of the matter for today's class. Personnel cost budget is the crux of the matter for today's class. Personnel cost budget is the budget that shows the total basic and salary and allowances. It shows the total basic of the salary and allowances of various categories of staff in each ministry and extra-ministerial departments. Personnel cost budget. Personnel means staff. It used to show the salary, the total salaries and allowances of all various staff, all various categories of staff in each ministry and extra-ministerial departments. Personnel cost budget show the total basic salaries and allowances of the various category of staff in each ministry and extra-ministerial departments. Now, what are those steps involved or procedure involved in personnel cost budget? What are the steps involved in personnel cost budget? Or what are the factors? You may be asked, what are the factors that may be considered while preparing personnel cost budget? They are the steps. They are the steps. What are the factors that may be considered while preparing what? Personnel cost budget. They are the steps. Number one, identification of various positions in government. Identification of what? Various positions in government. Position means grade in government. In government, we have grade 1 to 17. The highest grade that you can be promoted to in government is grade 17. When you are in grade 17, that means you can become permanent secretary. You can become head of civil servants. As from grade 15, you can start becoming permanent secretary. So we have grade 1 to 17. As a graduate, when you have BSc, you just finish school, you just finish university, you want to join public sector, you want to join civil servant, you want to become a government worker, you will start with grade 7, sometimes grade 8 with your BSc. But a school start order, SSC order, it may start with grade 1. An SSC order, we start with maybe grade 2 or 3. Primary school order, we start with grade 1. OND order, grade 4. HND order, grade 6. So identification of various positions ranging from grade 1 to grade 17. Another step, identification of number of staff in each post. How many staff do we have in each of the grade? And this identification of number of staff in each post will include staff that was just promoted to a new post, to a new grade, staff that was just recruited to a new grade, and existing staff. Another one, identification of grade level for each of the position. Each of the position, permanent secretary, how many grade level do we have in permanent secretary? Director of finance, how many grade level do we have? Is very important. Identification of basic salary and annual increment rates. Identification of basic salary and the annual increment rate is one of the factors that we also need to consider while preparing personnel cost budgets. Now, how do we prepare personnel cost budget? How do we prepare personnel cost budget? There is a formula for preparing personnel cost budget. We have a formula for preparing personnel cost budget. The formula is stated as, the abbreviation of personnel cost budget is called PCB. The abbreviation of personnel cost budget is called PCV. Why the formula for using to prepare personnel cost budget is as follows. Look at the formula for preparing personnel cost budget. This is the formula that will be used to prepare personnel cost budget. We have incremental rates. You open a bracket, X minus 1 plus basic salary. You now open a big bracket times N. First, you open a bracket, incremental rate. You now open a small bracket, X minus 1 plus basic salary. You close the bracket times N. That is the formula that is used to prepare personnel cost budget. That is the formula that is used to. Now, let's break down the formula. X, what does S stand for? S stand for new step in each of the of new step each of the officer will be. S stands for number of steps that each of the staff will occupy. That is what S stands for. Number of staff, number of step. Step is different from grade. Number of step. Number of step in each grade. Step is different from the grade. In public sector, we have step 1 to 5. In public sector, we have how many steps? Step 1 to 5. We have step 1 to 5 in public sector. Step 1 to 5. For each of the grade, take for instance, grade 12. For each of the grade, example, for the grade 12, we may have different steps. Grade 12 in public sector, they are the grade occupied by the manager of a department. So for that grade, we may have different steps. Some people will be in grade 12, step 1. Some staff will be in grade 12, step 2. Some will be in grade 12, step 3. Grade 12, step 4. Grade 12, step 5. And so on like that. What does that mean? That means somebody that is in grade 12, step 2 is senior to the person that is in grade 12, step 1. Somebody that is in grade 12, step 5 is the most senior in that grade. We are the same manager. We are in the same grade. Or we are in grade 15, director. But I'm in grade 15, step 5. That means in that position, maybe we have 12 directors. I'm the most senior because I'm in step 5. If I'm in step 5. If you are in step 5, you are in a particular grade and you are now in step 5. What does that mean? That means you are due for what? You are due for what in public?
Retirement.
That means you are due for promotion to the next grade. You are due for what? Promotion to the next grade. Take for instance, I'm in grade 12. I'm now in step 5. That means I'm due for promotion to what grade again? I'm due for promotion to grade 13. You know, we have in public sector, we have 16. I mean, as you are spending the number of years you are promoting, you'll be moving from grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until you move to 17. It's 17 that when you are in 17, you can now retire. But what I'm saying in essence is, assuming you are in grade 12, step 5. If you are in step 5, grade 12. That means you are due to for promotion to what grade? You are due for promotion to grade 13. You will be promoted to the next grade after grade 12. What? Grade 13. If you are promoted to grade 13, what step are you going to be? Grade 13. You are now just promoted to grade 13. What step are you going to be?
Step 1.
Step 1. As your number of years is increasing in your grade 13, maybe after 2 years, you move to step 2. After 3 years, you move to step 3, and so on like that. Or every year, you'll be moving to the next step. So that is what S stands for. S stands for number of steps in each grade. Why? 1 is constant. This one is 1. It's not IU 1. X minus 1. N, what is meaning of N? This N. N means number of staff in each position. How many staff do we have in grade 12? How many staff do we have in grade 13? Number of staff in each position. Let's look example. Let's look at question. Let's look at a question. Examinable question 1. Somebody can help us read.
The Ministry of Commerce and Industries in Kwara State of Nigeria is about to prepare its 2010 budget for submission to the State Budget Department. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry made available to you the following information in respect of the personnel costs.
Okay.
Direct title.
Job title.
Yes.
Number. Grade level. Salary in post grades. We now have the post. For the job title, we have Director of Commerce, Deputy Director of Commerce, and so on. So let me read the additional information.
The following relevant information is also available. I. All the salary levels shown above are step 1 of the grade and its ministry policy. And it is the ministry policy to prepare personnel cost budgets based on step 4 of the grade level. I. 1 deputy director, 2 assistant directors, 1 chief accountant are due for promotion during the budget year. I. During 2010, 4 senior commercial officers will be employed to strengthen the commercial division.
Okay.
Staff allowances constitute 40% of staff salary. You are required to prepare in summary form personnel cost budgets for commerce division of the ministry.
Okay. You are required to prepare in summary form personnel cost budgets for the commerce division in the ministry. This is a ministry of commerce and industry in Kwara State. They want to prepare their 2010 budget. This information given to them is for 2009. They want to use it to prepare which year budget? 2010. Now, if you want to prepare your personnel cost budget, the name of the ministry is called Ministry of Commerce. The state that they belong to is Kwara State. Personnel cost budget for the year 2010. In your solution, this is your solution. The job title, you list the job title as listed. Job title. You also list number, how many staff that occupy each of the grade. We also mention the grade level and the salaries. Job title, grade level, job title, the number in each of the posts, the grade level, and the salary. That will be in your solution. And now, the first staff that we have, look at the question. The first staff that we have is who? Who is the first staff?
Director
of Commerce. How many staff do we have in the position of Director of Commerce? Do we have number of staff in the position of Director of Commerce?
Is it 20,000?
There is no anybody.
Nobody is there.
What grade level is Director of Commerce?
17.
This 60,000 is the basic salary. Why 20,000 is the incremental salary? 60,000 is what?
Grade 17.
Basic salary. Why 20,000 is what?
Incremental salary.
Now, you ask a question. Since there is nobody in position of Director of Commerce, who is next to Director of Commerce?
Deputy Director.
Deputy Director of Commerce. How many persons do we have in Deputy Director of Commerce? How many staff? 2. You will not ask yourself, you go to the additional information. Then, is there any way where one of the Deputy Director is promoted? Let's go and read additional information. Additional information 2. Look at it. Additional information what?
2.
What does additional information 2 say?
1 deputy director, 2 assistant director, 1 chief accountant are due for promotions during
That
the
means
budget.
out of the 2 deputy directors that we have, out of these 2, one of them is due for what?
Due for promotion.
If he's promoted, he will move to what post?
Director of Commerce.
He will 70 what? Director of Commerce. That means in a solution, let's go to our working note. This is our working notes. How this the amount stated. This is our working note. In our solution, that means we have 1 person. In my commerce, in my solution, I have 1 staff. I have 1 staff. 1 staff. Because 1 deputy director moved to Director of Commerce. Now, let me calculate the salary of that 1 staff that is now a Director of Commerce. Let me calculate. Look at the formula for calculating personnel cost budget. This is the formula. Incremental salary. Incremental salary. Incremental salary open a bracket, X minus 1. X stands for number of steps in each grade plus basic salary times N. Now, let's go to the question. Using this formula, if I go to the question, under the working notes in the question, I want to calculate the salary of Director of Commerce. I want to calculate the salary of Director of Commerce. I want to calculate the salary. The incremental salary is how much?
So you said 20.
20,000. In this question, we are saying that what step does the question said we should use while preparing the budget? It was stated in the question. What step are we to use?
Step 4.
Step 4.
Yeah.
That means our X will be what? 4. Let me open an Excel for us to understand. Let me open Excel. Let me open Excel. I will do it in an Excel so that we understand very well. It's better we understand. If I want to calculate the personnel cost budget means PCB. PCB. The formula is you open a bracket, incremental salary, incremental salary, open a small bracket, X minus 1, X minus 1. You close your bracket, plus basic salary, plus what? Basic salary. You now close the final bracket. You close the bracket. So in this question for Director of Commerce, and when you close the bracket, you now put N. While closing the bracket, you put N. N. In Director of Commerce, the incremental salary is how much? For Director of Commerce.
20,000.
20,000.
20,000. The question said we should use what step while preparing this budget?
Step
Step
4.
N stands for 4.
4.
Step
4.
4
Minus 1.
1.
1.
You close the brackets. Abi?
Yes.
Plus what? What is the
60,000.
basic salary
6,000.
for Director of Commerce?
60.
60,000. Abi?
Yes.
You close the bracket. N means what?
Number.
Number of staff.
How many staff is in the Director of Commerce?
1.
N means 1. At the end of the day, what do you get?
Nobody is there now.
So that will give us what?
120 lang.
It will give us 120. Because 4 minus 1, it will give you 3. Abi?
Yes, sir.
4 minus 1, it will give you 3. Plus 3 times 20, 60. Abi?
Yes, sir.
60 plus 60,
120.
120. So that is how we get that. Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
120. So let's go back to the solution. Let's go back to the solution. So if you look at the solution now, for Director of Commerce, I have number of staff for Director of Commerce is 1. Abi?
Yes,
The
sir.
grade level is how much? Amen. The grade level is 17. Why? The number of staff,
1.
20. Why the salary is 120? Can we all see that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that is for Director of Commerce. The next position is what?
Deputy Director.
Deputy Director of Commerce. In the question, how many staff do we have initially in Deputy Director of Commerce?
2.
2, sorry.
Out of the 2, 1 and move to where?
To
Director.
Yes.
It will remain how many?
1.
1. You also ask a question again. Does any assistant director move to deputy?
There is.
In the additional information, they said 2 assistant directors are due for what?
Promotion.
To the next level.
That means 2 assistant directors will move to deputy. Abi?
Yes, sir.
We have 1 on. You understand? We have 1 already on ground. If 2 is joining them, it will be how many?
3.
3.
That means our deputy director of commerce, while preparing our budget, we use 3. Do you know how we get this 3?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The number of staff is 3. The grade level, what is the grade level?
16.
So now let's go and compute this personnel cost budget. If you go, the basic salary for Director of Commerce, the basic salary for Deputy Director of Commerce is 55,000. That is the basic salary. The incremental salary is 18,000. 4 minus 1. 4 minus 1.
3.
3. Abi?
Yes, sir.
3 times 18 times incremental. 3 times 18, what will give us? What that one is
54.
going to give us? 3 times 18,
54.
54. 54 plus 55,000.
109.
109.
109.
9,000.
109,000 times 3.
327,000.
327,000. Do you understand how we get the 327,000?
Yes.
So, for Deputy Director of Commerce is 327,000. The next is assistant what?
Director.
So,
Assistant Director of Commerce. For the Assistant Director of Commerce, what happened? How many do we have in the Assistant Director of Commerce according to the question? How many staff do we have? Look at Assistant Director of Commerce. How many staff do we have? In the
3.
question. This is the question.
3.
3 staff, have you?
Yes, sir.
But the remaining 1.
How many staff have moved to the next position?
2.
2.
It remains how many?
1.
1.
How many chief accountant? You know, next post to Assistant Director of Commerce is chief accountant, Abi.
Yes, sir.
How many chief accountants are due for promotion?
You know,
1 chief accountant. 1.
One chief accountant. That means 1 plus 1.
become 2.
In our solution, how many staff we are going to have in the Assistant Director of Commerce now?
2.
2. Do you understand how we get these 2 now? Because out of 3, 1 have moved to the higher position. It remains 1. Why the one in the lower position joined the one remaining, making 2? The grade level is grade 15. How do we get the 190? If you go to our working note, Assistant Director of Commerce, their own basic salary is 50,000. Do you understand? Their basic salary is 50,000. Why their incremental salary is 15,000? 4 minus 1.
3.
4 minus 1. That is 3. 3 times 15.
45.
45 plus 50.
95.
95 times 2.
190.
190. That is how we get the 190 in where? Assistant Director. For the chief accountant, in the question, how many staff do we have in the chief accountant?
Before it's 3.
Chief accountants. We have 4 staff. Abi,
4 before. 4.
one of them have moved to assistant. It remains how many?
3.
Let's ask again. Does any of the assistant chief accountant promoted?
That's the last now.
Yes.
Assistant chief accountant?
No.
No.
It's the last.
That means for chief accountant, how many are we going to have in the solution?
Only 3 now.
It will be 3. Out of 4, 1 have moved up. It remains 3. And we are not told either assistant chief accountant was promoted. So that means we have 3 in our solution now. Assistant chief accountant. Chief accountant, sorry, will be 3. Grade level 14. The salary is going to be 243. For assistant chief accountant too, there are 5 in the question. We use the 5. Grade level 13. When we do the working note in the salary, it will be 350. Do you understand how we get the 350? It's in the working note. For the assistant chief accountant. 450 is the basic salary. Incremental salary is 12,000. 4 minus 1 times 12.
3. 36.
Plus 45 times 3. 243. That is for for the chief accountant. How we get the chief accountant? Oh. The same way for assistant chief accountant. Principal accountant, we have 4 in the question. We use the 4. Now, look at another one. Look at another one. Notary. Notary. What does notary say?
During 2010, 4 senior commercial officers will be employed to strengthen the commercial division.
One senior,
one?
4 senior commercial officer. Let's go and look at the question. How many senior commercial officers do we have?
8.
How many senior commercial officers we have?
We have 8.
8. So now, how many they want to employ?
They want 4.
4.
4. 4 plus 8.
12.
That means for senior commercial officer, the number of staff in our solution will be how many?
12.
Should
12.
be 12.
If this question is direct, if they say one person is retiring, want to retire, or one person suddenly sleep, you know the sleeping I'm talking about. Automatic sleeping. You remove those staff. If they say one staff left the organization, you remove the number. Or one staff retire, you remove the number. Or one staff sudden death, you remove the staff. Do you understand my point?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So that is how we do personnel cost budget. We are going to do it for all the staff up to the last staff. Up to the last staff. At the end of the day, when we get to our last staff, which is a cleaner, we have 12 in number, grade level. So his own salary is what? 168, Abby?
Mhm.
Can you see the one of cleaner? Hello?
168 total.
Yes. So how we get the 168 is in the working notes too. Now, when you get the last one, you will now have what is called subtotal. Subtotal means you add from the beginning, from 120, you add everything up to 168. When you add it, what will be your subtotal? 6,315,000. 6,300,000 and what?
15.
15. In your subtotal now, 6,315,000. That is your subtotal. In the question again, there is one particular point that we have not dealt with, which is note 4. Staff allowance constitute what?
40% of staff salary.
The staff salary, the total staff salary in this question, the total staff salary in this question is 6,315,000. Then I say staff allowance is what? 40% of that 6,315,000. Do you understand?
Yes,
Do
sir.
you understand?
Yes, sir.
Meaning,
So
sir,
40% of that 6,315,000, it will give you what? 2,526,000.
520.
That is your staff allowance. Do you understand? At the end of the
you
day,
mean, sir, you mean for every position?
no. Yes. See, 40% of the total. You know, this total is when you add the salary for every position together.
Mm.
You get 6,315,000.
Yes, sir.
40% of 6,315,000. That is your staff allowance. It will give you
Okay.
2,500,000 and what?
26,000.
26,000. When you add the two together, both the staff salary and the allowance, when you add it together, 8,841,000. That will give you the grand total. Grand what?
Total.
That will give you the grand total.
Sir, excuse me.
Okay.
Is it possible that you see where they will give staff allowance for each level separately?
It's not possible.
Okay.
If
Alright.
they give staff allowance for each of the grades separately, do you know what you do? In your working notes, assuming if they give, ladies and gentlemen, if they give, take for instance, for this director of commerce, you know his salary is 120.
Yes.
If his own staff allowance, they give it separately, you can say 40% of what?
120.
120. That is his staff allowance. To get his total salary, 120 plus that staff allowance.
Alright, sir.
This type of exams is a come out also. This
What do you
type
say?
is also come out in ICAN questions.
I can't hear you.
These questions, the one we are doing, is also coming out in ICAN.
Yes, it's coming out. It's coming out.
It's okay now.
That's how we get this. Let's look at the second question. Second question is more interesting than this first question. That will be our last question for today. Second question, examinable question 2.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, you didn't explain to us before the salary, there's a mark there. You put is it column or there's something that if you can go back to the answer, there's something there. What does that one mean?
Which one?
Okay, see this column now that doesn't have heading. Yeah, that place. What does it mean?
No. It's a mistake. You know, I'm using Excel to put the solution. It does not mean anything. Please kindly ignore it. I'm trying to even reduce it. It's supposed to be hidden. I don't know why it's showing.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm trying to see whether it can be. So let's look at the second question. Second question is more interesting. If they want to set question in the exam relating to personnel cost budget, the second question will be more interesting. Oh yeah, let's look at it. Somebody should help us read.
Sinta.
Oh yeah, examinable question 2.
Owode Local Government Council is about to prepare its year 2009 budget. The following figures were made available in respect of the personnel cost of the Works Department for the year 2008. We have
Okay.
the engineer.
We have office, we have number in the office, we have grade, we have salary in the position grade. city engineer, deputy city engineer, principal engineer, senior engineer, engineer, and so on like that. Let's go to additional info. Oh yeah,
The deputy city engineer is due for promotion. 1 senior engineer and 12 artisans, grade 1, are to be appointed. The following are the salary range stated below. So we have the office and the salary scale.
okay.
Except
No,
those on promotion, each member of staff will move to the next incremental step. Staff allowance is 20% of salary. You are required to prepare the summary of the personnel cost budget for the works department for the year 2009. Ignore comparative figures for 2008.
thank you very much. So, first person we have in this question is who?
City engineer.
City engineer. What grade?
16.
The salary, the basic salary is how much?
24,000.
The incremental salary is how much?
2,400.
Now, in our solution, Obafemi Owode, work department, personnel cost budget for which year we are preparing it for?
29.
2009. The office, the number in post, the grade level and salary. The first person we have is what? City engineer. Abi? In the question, do
Yes,
we have
sir.
anybody in the city engineer?
No.
No. But additional information tell us something. Additional information 2. 1 said what?
Due for promotion.
City engineer is due for promotion.
Deputy city engineer is due for what?
Promotion.
That means the next person to the city engineer is deputy city engineer, Abi? Is due for what?
Promotion.
Is moving to which post?
City engineer.
City engineer. That means we are going to have one person in the post of what?
City engineer.
1 grade level 16. The salary. How do we get 24,000? In this question is giving us the step where each of the staff belong to. Take for instance, that deputy city engineer, it was in step, while he was in deputy city engineer, it was in step 3. Do you understand? Step 3. After deputy city engineer, which person do we have again? Principal engineer, Abi? Principal engineer. We have principal engineer, Abi?
Yes, sir.
How many staff do we have in principal engineer? 2. 2 staff. These 2 staff we have in principal engineer, they are in different steps. They are in what step? Different step. Let's go and look at salary scale. For the 2 persons in the principal engineer, what step? You can see principal engineer under the salary scale, salary range. 1 is in which step?
1.
Another one is in which step?
2.
2. For the next person, senior engineer, many staff do we have in senior engineer?
So,
Five.
excuse me, sir.
Huh?
Yes. In the first question, they said we should use step 4.
Yes. In this question, they
So
say
in
we should
this,
use step 4. In this question,
yes,
we are giving the step
question
that they
1.
belong to.
Okay, so now
I
the one
can
that
hear
is
you.
on step 1, the one that is on step will now be 1 minus 1, which is 0.
Yes. Let's go ahead first.
Okay.
For
And then
senior
this one that
engineer,
the senior engineers that are in 2 different grades, are we going to prepare it separately?
yes, we are going
We're
to
going to
prepare it
work.
separately. We are going to
Okay,
prepare it
so
separately.
yes.
Just hold on. Just hold on. For senior engineer, you know there are 5 in number, Abby.
Yeah.
Let's go and look at the salary scale. Senior engineer salary scale. For the senior engineer, let's go and look at the salary scale. For the 5 in number, who can explain the number of steps that they have for those 5
Two,
staff in senior engineer?
2 staff is in step 3, while the 3 remaining is in step 4.
Okay. I'm happy that you understand the step now. That is what note 4 is saying. Note 5, note 4, sorry. They said, except those on promotion. Please let me interpret this. Yeah, read it. Read it.
It's been blocked. So
Oh, yeah, now.
it's
Okay.
blocked.
Except those on promotion. Abi? Except those on promotion. Yes. Each of the member of staff. We move to what?
Next incremental step.
Next incremental step. What does that mean?
The remaining that is not this thing now.
What that means is, if they are, except those that are promoted, everybody will move to next
Step
step.
1. Yeah.
Deputy city engineer is promoted. That one is different. But for the principal engineer, look at principal
Yeah.
engineer. You know there are 2 in number. One is in step 1, Abi?
Yes, sir.
While another one is in step 2. Abi?
Yes, sir.
What that question is saying is, this person is in step 1. He's going to move to what step?
Step 2.
Why this person in step 2? We move to what step?
Step 3.
Come 3.
Step 3. For senior engineer, this person in step 3 we move to what step?
Step 4.
This person in step 4 we move to what step?
Step 5.
5.
That is what that is saying. Now let's go and solve the question. Let's go and solve the question. The first person we have is what? City engineer, grade level 16. Salary range is basic salary 24,000, incremental salary 2004. Now, nobody in the city engineer, but deputy city engineer is now promoted. That means deputy city engineer has now become what? Deputy city engineer has now become city engineer. Abi?
Yes, sir.
Grade level 16. How do we get the salary that give us 24,000? You know, this city engineer, the person in this city engineer is just promoted. Abi? The person occupying the city engineer position is just what?
Promoted.
That question says except those on promotion. That means those on promotion, They are going to start. If you are just promoted to the new post, what step are you going to start?
1.
1. You can see my question. Under the city engineer, I use the number of steps, which is S. I use 1. I use what?
1.
Because it's just what?
Promoted.
Promoted. It will be in step 1. The basic salary is 24,000. The incremental salary is 2,004. 1 minus 1.
0.
0 times 2,004. 0, Abby.
Nothing.
At the end of the day, we have 24,000. 24,000 times 1.
24.
It will give us 24. Do you understand why we use 1 for city engineer?
Yes.
Because deputy city engineer that becomes city engineer is just promoted to the position of city engineer. The question, the additional information tells us that except those on promotion, each of the member of staff will move to next incremental step. That means those on promotion will start from step 1. Now, we have done for city engineer. Let's go to deputy city engineer. For deputy city engineer, how many staff do we have?
1.
We have 1.
1. And that 1 have moved to where?
City engineer.
That means there is nobody. Again, are we told principal engineer was promoted?
So,
We are not told. So for deputy city engineer, in my solution, if you look at my solution, deputy city engineer, number of staff, I use what?
0.
Salary, 0. Nobody in the deputy city engineer for now. Do you understand?
yes, sir.
The next is principal what?
Engineer.
Principal engineer. Principal engineer. For the principal engineer, how many staff do we have in the question?
2.
2.
2. What step does each of the staff belong to?
1 is 1, 1 is 2.
1 is in step 1. Another one is in step 2. Abi?
Yes.
This one is in step 1. We now move to what step?
Step 2.
This one is in step 2. We move to what step?
Step 3.
Step 3.
Step 3. So let's go to working notes for principal engineer. Try and bring my bag. No, try and bring my bag. So for this one now, look at principal engineer. The one in step 1 that moved to step 2, I have 2 minus 1 times the incremental salary. 1 person that is in step 1 moves to step 2. Principal engineer again. The one that is in step 2 that moved to step 3, I have what? 3 minus what?
1.
3 minus 1.
1 times the incremental salary
1, 2.
times 1. At the end of the day, what I'm going to get for the first one, 16,002. For the second one, I'm going to get 17,004. I will now add the 2 together. If I add the 2 together, it will give me how much?
3,600.
30,
That's 3,600.
600. So for my solution, principal engineer, I write what? 33,000 what?
600.
Correct.
Principal engineer 2. Number in post 2. Abi? Grade level 12. The salary will be 33,600. Abi?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I will move to the next person called what?
Senior engineer.
Senior.
Senior engineer. When you look at the salary scale, 3, there are 5 in number. If you look at the question, Abi?
Yeah.
Senior engineer, they are what? 5 in number. Out of the 5, what is the breakdown?
Step 3, 2. Step 4, 3.
Based on the additional information, this one, 2, we move to what step?
Step 4.
It will move to step 4. The one, 3, we move to what step?
Step 5.
5. So while doing my calculation, for the 2, I'm going to use 4 minus 1. For the 3, I'm going to use what minus 1? 5 minus what?
Minus 1.
1.
So and additional information tell us something about senior engineer again. Additional information 2. Look at additional information 2.
1 senior engineer and 12 artisans grade 1 are to be appointed.
So 1 senior engineer is going to be employed. This senior engineer that was just employed, what step is he going to be?
1.
Step 1.
Step 1. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
That means the total number of senior engineers will be how many?
Now it should become 6.
6.
If you look at my solution, total number of senior engineers will be 6. 6, not 5. I made a mistake writing 5 here. It's 6.
Okay.
So 6 in number. Out of the 6 in number, the first person that was just employed will be in step 1. Abi?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
1 minus 1, 0.
0.
0 times 950.
0.
12,000 times 1,
12.
12,000. Do you understand how I get this?
Yes, sir.
The second person, the 2 people that was in step 3 before, that they will move to step 4. Abi? 4 minus 1
3.
times 950 plus 12,000 times 2. That will give us 29,700. Why the next person is those 3 that are in step 4 before, moving to what step? Those 3 that are in step 4 that are moving to what
Step
step?
5 now. Become
5.
step 5 now.
5 minus 1
4.
times 950
3x
plus 12,000. At the end of the day, I will times everything by what?
by 3 people.
By 3. That will give us what?
47,400.
47,400. I will now add 3 of them together. These 3, I will add it together. It will give me how much?
89,100.
So in my solution, I will, under senior engineer, it will be what?
89,100.
8191. Please note, the number is 6, not 5.
Mm.
The number is how many?
6 now.
Yes. I made a mistake here. I will correct the mistake. Engineer 1. Let's do engineer 1. Engineer 1. For engineer 1, how many do we have in engineer 1?
8.
8. Let's go and look at the breakdown of the 8. For the engineer 1, 2 is in what step? 1, Abby?
2 is in a step.
3 is in step 2. Why 3 is in step 3? But this 2, we move to step 2. This 3, we move to step 3. Abby? Why
Yes,
this
sir.
3, we move to what step?
Step 4.
So if you go to my solution, engineer 1, for the 2, moving to step 2, 2 minus 1 times 860. 860 is the incremental salary, plus 10,000. At the end of the day, you times everything by 2. You will get 21,720. Why? The one, those 3, moving to step 3, 3 minus 1 times 860 plus 10,000. You now times everything by 3. At the end of the day, you get 35,160.
Yeah.
Those 3 in step 3, moving to step 4. 4 minus 1 times 860
Mm.
plus 10,000.
By
Everything you times it by 3 again. At the end of the day,
37,740.
94,620. Hope this is clear.
Yes, sir.
So that is how we do all of them. You now do everything. You notice if there's additional staff. At the end of the day, you get your subtotal. Your subtotal is 1,350,550. Staff allowance, 20%. In the question, they said it's 20%. 20% of the subtotal. It will give you 270,110. While your grand total is going to be 1,626,660. Ladies and gentlemen, how do you understand this question very well? If I were you, I would go and solve it on my own. You know, this is an online class. I'm just explaining now, you may understand. But the only way to understand it by yourself is go and solve it, especially this second question. Go and solve it on your own. After solving it, you now look at it in the solution. You compare it with the solution. That is how you know. If you are attending online class, explaining something online, if you don't solve, you may not understand. Try to solve it on your own.
Please, sir, how do you get the material?
This is the question now. The question is here. You will solve it without looking at the solution. I've sent this material to the group chat already since last week. So any solution you are doing online, once the tutor, the lecturer have just explained everything to you, go and solve it on your own. By solving it on your own, you will know it better than just say you know the explanation. So any question, any issue, any query.
Sir.
So in the absence of no question, by next week, we are moving to
Sir?
cash budget.
Sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Based on the golden rule, incremental first has been first written there, while in the solution we put the basic salary first. So which one
Anyone
to
can be
follow?
first. Basic salary can be first, or incrementals can be first. It depends. You are still going to get the same answer.
Okay, sir.
Yes.